First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Appreciate you being here wherever you're watching. Thank you for finding us. We get to have a lot of great conversations on this show. And on September 17th at the Red on the central east side of Portland, there will be an anniversary celebration, a 30th anniversary celebration of the Oregon Black Pioneers, a historical society dedicated to telling the stories of people of African descent in the state of Oregon. And we're going to be talking all about that celebration and the organization itself, because right now we are joined by the executive director, Zachary Stocks. Zachary, thank you very much for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you about all of this and really showcase everything that your organization does. And I think, to start off, this is the 30th anniversary. Can you give us the history of the society itself?
Of course, and thank you for having me on. So, Oregon Black Pioneers is Oregon's only statewide African American historical society, and we are incorporated in Salem, Oregon, which is where we were founded back in 1993. So yes, this marks our 30th anniversary year. And the way the organization came about was that back in the early 90s, a woman named Carol Davis, who had recently relocated from Seattle, was aware of an organization up in Washington called the Northwest Black Pioneers, and decided, why don't we have something like that down here in Oregon, where people can learn about the experiences of some of the first African-American individuals who came to Oregon. And so she decided to create a similar organization that had a similar mission and called it the Oregon Northwest Black Pioneers. And one of the founders was the late Senator Jackie Winters.
And I'm taking a look here too, just to showcase some of the footage that you have here, just to give a little bit of context to that. So that was 30 years ago that this was founded, obviously covering such a huge range of history as well. So, going from that founding point to now, I guess, what have been some of the big stories, the big things that you want to share with everyone? Oh, and there you are too. That you want to share with everybody. I guess let's start off with that. What are some of the big stories that people really should know?
Well, originally the organization was meant to showcase some of the great local stories of the Salem area, but over the years the scope expanded to incorporate the experiences of people of African descent throughout the Willamette Valley, Marion County, and ultimately the entire state of Oregon. And everything that you might consider Oregon, going back to the days of the Oregon country, which included what is present-day Washington as well, and even beyond. Some of the stories that our research and programs have helped to make more well-known throughout Oregon include things like Oregon's Black exclusion laws. Some of those early restrictions that were meant to keep people of African descent out of the Oregon country, and which created pretty abysmal conditions for the Black people who did decide to make their life here in spite of those laws. It was really in large part thanks to our board of directors, who were all volunteers, the research that they did to help to elevate those stories through constant presentations over the past 3 decades. And then, of course, sharing stories of individual Black men and women who have made great contributions to some of the communities that we call home today. People like Lewis Southworth, who's been receiving a lot of great attention down in the Waldport area, now that there's a brand new statue by Pete Helzer that just went up last year. People like George Fletcher, the Hall of Fame Black rodeo cowboy from Pendleton, who has a statue of his own outside the Pendleton Roundup grounds. People like Letitia Carson, who our organization works really closely with Oregon State University to help share her stories over what we call the Letitia Carson Legacy Project. She lived for several years in Benton County and then spent more than 20 years in Douglas County. So these are the individuals that we feel should be household names in Oregon. Their stories are some that we are inspired by. They've made lasting contributions to the heritage of Oregon today. And in some cases, they did really unique things like purchase their own freedom or win a legal case of great significance, or even achieve the opportunity to be a homeowner in Oregon with Homestead Act claims.
Well, and especially, what you mentioned there at the beginning with some of those exclusionary laws that were that were here in this territory. I mean, that's important that people know about that's where that happened, because you want to know about that so you're not doomed to repeat anything. And but talking about some of these real luminaries that you're mentioning here, how do you go about gathering your research? Because I would imagine going back far enough, it's probably a little bit difficult finding information. So when you're going about that side of things, how is it that you gather that?
Sometimes we find information in really surprising places. We'll just see a reference to someone buried deep in an old book. And it's only later that we learn that this individual was a Black person. As a matter of fact, just earlier this week, I was trying to find some information about a woman who lived in Hammond, Oregon, in Clatsop County in 1920, and couldn't find any sources for her in some of the usual places that I might look. But I found an administrative history of Fort Stevens, which today is a state park, and saw her name in there. Nothing that mentioned her race, even though other Black people were named with their race mentioned in that same book. So sometimes we have to have a little bit of prior knowledge to know exactly what we're looking at. And the other thing I would say is that we receive so much great information from the public. So much of what we have is from information that people have felt we need to know so that our organization can help to share it with other people. So whether that is diary entries from someone's relatives, or photos, or references that we see in historic articles that have been published for the past 150 years. We are really the beneficiaries of a lot of other people's contributions. And so we do our best to share the information that we have and make it as accessible to people as much as we can.
Well, I think that's wonderful that people are bringing that out too, because a lot of times that is how it is. It could be buried in a photo album somewhere, that someone's great aunt had, and then all of a sudden you've got this wealth of information that you could find. That's really great. So definitely get the word out for everybody watching. Get the word out. And doing that, though, you mentioned how you like to make this information as accessible as possible for everyone. So I'd like to talk about that just a little bit, because you've got this a great website, but taking a look here at this video that kind of that introduces everyone to the organization. Can you talk about this video and what some of these images are?
Yeah. So these are images that are available throughout different collections in the States. Oregon Digital, which I think is a consortium between the University of Oregon and Oregon State University, for them to house some of their shared photo collections. Materials from Oregon Historical Society, some materials from Oregon State Archives, or places that are in the public domain, especially the older photos. We've done our best to sort of showcase them in this video in ways that are a little bit more exciting than we typically think of when we think of a historical society. And that's kind of what we're all about. We don't want to be this sort of stuffy academic organization, because we're all about the community. We want people to feel that this is history that's relevant to them, and that it is being presented to them in a way that is going to be exciting, because we're kind of hip. You know what I mean? We our staff, we try really hard to be mindful of what is cool, and remind people that history is pretty cool. Even the difficult things, we need to learn from it, and we can do that by mixing together the arts and the culture with the history. The video itself was created, it was produced by Northeast Productions out of Portland, and their owner, Devin Boss, who's a great guy. It was really fun to work with him on this video project. We worked together on a different video called Meeting the Sewells, which is a collaboration with High Desert Museum.
Which I've actually got some clips of that as well for Meeting the Sewells. I would love to talk about that. But speaking to what you just mentioned there, making it cool, because you're right. I love history. I love going to historical societies. But granted, I know for some people that's not everything they want to do. But I think the way that you're mixing it with some multimedia and presentations and getting people involved to really understand how important it is and how fascinating it is to learn about this. Learn about history. That's great. Great job on that, on getting that, on presenting it in that way. Let's talk about that work, though, with the High Desert Museum. So explain to us how that partnership started and what Meeting the Sewells is.
Yeah, so Meeting the Sewells is a living history short film about the real-life experiences of a Black pioneer couple in Central Oregon, Columbus and Louisa Sewell. Columbus Sewell came to Central Oregon in the 1860s, and Louisa came in the 1870s. And they and their two children lived in Canyon City for the rest of their lives. I think that their oldest son lived until the 1960s, I believe. And when you think of Canyon City, if you've been there, I mean, it's pretty remote. It's near John Day, but otherwise, there's not a lot of big towns around there. But their story is so unique because Columbus owned a business. He was a freight hauler. And Louisa was a socialite, if you could think of such a thing, in rural Oregon. But she had people over for ice cream and croquet. And their sons were really popular as well. So in this case, their race was not a obstacle, or it was not something that created a lot of tensions locally, at least not as the historical record shows us through the sources that we have. And so we wanted to share their experiences in a way that was, again, creative and exciting. And we thought we can do that with video. And High Desert Museum thought it was a great idea because they already have a series called Oregon Encounters. And this would be an opportunity to share some Black history stories as part of the Oregon Encounter series.
Wow, and that's also available for people to watch online as well.
Yep, it's on our YouTube page and our website.
Fantastic. And now I want to ask for you, being involved in this and getting to see all this and being a part of all this research and creating all that, is there anything that stood out to you as maybe the most rewarding experience that you've had being a part of the Oregon Black Pioneers?
For me personally, I actually think the most rewarding part is being part of a community of scholars that are working hard to share the diverse cultural heritage of the place that we live in, this place called Oregon, right? It means so much to be invited into these spaces with historians, university professors, people whose books I have read and have on my bookshelf behind me. It's really great that they recognize and believe in our work as well, but they recognize that the work that we're doing is important. And they've invited us to help to tell the stories of Oregon in a more inclusive way. It's one of those affirmations that I feel very proud of.
Speaking of the organization, now going to this 30th anniversary, there is a celebration that's going on, but there's a cause for that as well. And I wonder if you could let everybody know about this, about what's happening on September 17th, and then why that's happening.
Yeah, so on September 17th, it's a Sunday, we'll be having our 30th anniversary celebration. It's a ticketed event, so if someone wanted to come, they would have to purchase a ticket, but it's open for anyone to attend with the ticket purchase. This is our chance to bring people together for the first time since 2019 and build community with each other, find out how we've been, meet new people, and also showcase some of the work that we've been doing over the past 3 years. We had COVID as a barrier, but it created opportunities for us to be more creative in the ways that we develop history programming. So we'll get to share some of the great outdoor programs that we've been doing over the past few years. We'll also get to show off all 3 of our traveling exhibits. We've brought them in and haven't booked them out for other installations until after the gala, so that all of our guests will have a chance to see our 3 new exhibits on display at the same time. And we'll have information about the needs of our organization, the ways that we're growing, a tribute to our late founder, Miss Willie Richardson, who passed away last year. And it'll mostly just be an opportunity for us to make a case that organizations like ours need the support of the public in order to do these good works. And hopefully people will be inspired to make a contribution that night.
100%, and to let people know about it, learn the history. You mentioned 3 exhibits. Are they on tour right now, or where are those?
Not all of them, but one of them is up in Seattle, and it's an exhibit about the first generation of Black Oregonians who came to the Oregon Territory on the Oregon Trail. It's at the Northwest African American Museum right now in Seattle. Our other exhibits, we have one about the life of Letitia Carson, which was developed with the other partner organizations of the Letitia Carson Legacy Project. So that's Oregon State University, the Black Oregon Land Trust, Mudbone Grown Farm, and the Lynn Benton NAACP. And then our third exhibit is called Racing to Change, Oregon Civil Rights Years. That was an exhibit that was installed originally as a site-specific exhibit at Oregon Historical Society, and we've converted those graphic image files into the same exhibit format so that it can actually travel all around the state, and people can learn about the ways that Black Oregonians built collective power during the overall national civil rights story.
Wow, and those are all three going to be there at this event.
They will.
And for everybody, I mean, clearly there's the event that's going to be going on, but what are some ways that, I guess, if they want to purchase tickets to that, but also just get involved and learn more about the society itself, where should they go?
So the answer to both of those questions is the same place, which is our website. So for the event itself, if someone wanted to come on September 17th, they could purchase a ticket by visiting our website, and we have a blog post about this event with a link to the ticketing page there, as well as our social media. We're very active on Instagram and Facebook, so the information is there as well. But our website is really the one-stop shop for all things Oregon Black Pioneers. And we really thought about this as not a website that just tells people about what our organization is, but the actual destination for people who are looking for more information about Oregon's Black history. And so visiting our website is where you'll be able to find our digital collections. We have oral history collections, we have photo collections, some of the projects we've put together, like our radio show with KMUN, Coast Community Radio in Astoria, things like our history maps, where you can actually see the places in Portland or throughout the state where Black history was made on interactive maps. It's all on our website. It's all free, and it's all donor powered. So people who want to support our work, the way to do it is with individual contributions of any size. It really does make a difference.
And the website is really, really well put together. I've got to say, it's fascinating. You can get you can go down a lot of different rabbit holes just going on the website and just learning about so many different things. So very, very cool and well done. Well done on that. And Zachary, I want to say thank you very much too for joining us here. Anything final that you want to tell people about or let them know about when it comes to the Oregon Black Pioneers?
Just to say how grateful we are to have known about us from years or just getting to know our organization. They've all been a part of our story for the past 3 decades. And we're so excited to start our 4th decade with every single person in Oregon, every county, every community, wherever Black history was made. We want to know about it. So please get in touch with us, share what you can, invite us to events. We want to learn these stories and celebrate them with you.
Zachary, thank you so much for joining me today to have this conversation, to talk about all of this, and appreciate you being here on Fox 12 Now.
Thanks so much, Greg.
And for everyone watching, thank you for joining us here for this show, because this is something that we get to do here every day as part of our programming from the digital desk. We get to have these conversations, learn about things. We also do deeper dives. If there's breaking news, we cover that. So there's a wide gamut of programming that we get to do with this show, and that's all here at Fox 12 Oregon at the headquarters. That's the newsroom behind me. Also, don't forget that you can watch a lot of our segments and all of the segments that we do here with Fox 12 Now on our YouTube channel. So that's Fox 12 Oregon, the YouTube channel. Go there and watch all the different things that we cover. Like I said, it's a lot of different things, and all of it is informative and some great conversations that we get to have. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to sign off for now. If there's breaking news that happens here in the next couple of hours, I will be right here with you. Otherwise, our 4 p.m. news will take over then at 4 p.m. But until then, I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.